Welcome to my LinkedIn Spotlight interview series. I'm here to shine a light on attorneys making a difference across the country. And today I'm speaking with Ryan Kreck, a board-certified criminal defense attorney from Texas who's been defending clients for 15 years. Let's dive in.
So let's start at the beginning. What first drew you? You do criminal defense, if I remember correctly.
Yes, I do criminal defense. I'm board certified in criminal defense here in the state of Texas, and that's all I do. I used to do family, but I do criminal defense and been doing it for 15 years.
Great. So let me ask you what first drew you into the practice area of criminal defense, whether there was a specific moment, influence, or experience that set you on that path.
You know, I thought about that more. Like in law school, I didn't have any intention of doing criminal defense, but as I've come to look back at myself and the kind of person I am, I always had a lot of empathy. I don't like bullies. Like growing up through school, if anybody was picked on, anybody was like the odd opinion out, I like to defend them. I would almost change my opinion to stand by them in a way, but I didn't fully appreciate that until maybe we're talking about with the trees about why I do criminal defense. But really, I just love standing for people. I love being there for the person. I love being last in line for clients.
Sounds like you like being a person's champion and knight in shining armor.
I kind of do. Yeah, I hate doing it for that reason, but I don't brag about it, but it's between me and my client. They're there. They reach out to me. I stay in touch with a lot of my clients that really have a challenging case and they great luck on their case. They reach out to me every now and then, check in on me, and I'm always touched by that. They look out for me sometimes.
Excellent. Excellent. Every defense attorney that I know, myself included, has at least one case that really sticks with them. For you, is there a particular case, whether it be a win, a loss, or just a turning point that had a lasting impact on how you practice law today?
I have a couple for different ways, but for the sake of the time in the interview, I'll focus on one. I had a client who was falsely accused of sexual molestation by a daughter. He had separated from his wife. She became pregnant at the time they separated. And 10 years down the road, actually 13 years down the road, that mother got into trouble with CPS and lost the kids. And CPS asked him to be one to have custody of the kids. There's a son and a daughter. We find out that in the course of the case, the daughter's actually not his daughter, but she accuses him of sexual molestation for a very 6 months. Completely not true. And he sat in jail for 15 months right before COVID, waiting for his day for it. And his health was deteriorating. He was older, and he went in there, and the judge was pushing back against us. He kept out some allegations that she made against other people in the foster home before my client had custody. It was clearly fabricated, and she admitted that she lied, but he still kept it out so the jury didn't hear it. He let in an allegation that someone made against him 15 years prior, 25 years prior, and there was nothing to substantiate it, and the police refused the case, but the judge let that allegation come in. And so it felt like it was one of those situations where, of course, I was doing against the state, but the judge was doing everything he could to push back on my defense. And the jury deliberated for 4 hours for my not guilty.
Wow.
He was facing 25 to life without parole and for a continuous assault child. I had his judgment with quill that I put on the wall, and it sits right on my desk, which is off camera here. It was like my first big child sexual assault case, which is probably more difficult than any other case out there, especially murders. Murders are easy compared to sexual assault in a child case. And that is kind of fueled my success or my drive in these cases to where, in true he says, she said case where it says Friday, it would happen to be lose.
Yeah.
I've had a little bit of plot. We haven't never started.
Congratulations on the win, despite the judge's best efforts. I had a similar case and with similar allegations, and we tried the hell out of that case. The one thing that the judge did that I think really screwed us over is he allowed a former FBI agent to stay on the jury after he had said in voir dire that he had been trained to recognize when people are lying and telling the truth, and that he never in his decades-long career had ever made an arrest that did not result in a conviction. And the judge still let him be on the jury. He ended up being a forward person. The alleged victim had to be impeached through the prosecutor's paralegal because she denied having a meeting with the prosecutor and the paralegal days prior to the trial. And despite that, the jury still convicted my client. And at this point, he's probably going to die in prison. So it can go both ways. I'm glad you got the right way.
Well, there you go. I appreciate that. Man, those cases, and they'll haunt you. You have a client who had a prior one, and he kind of always liked younger ones, so he he kind of preferred that 17 to 18-year-old range, and say Texas is 17 as the agent said, and this girl made an allegation for something that happened when she was 16, and he ended up being convicted after 10 hours of deliberation by the jury. We had it was a hard case, but he got life in prison because with parole, but he wrote me a letter that they replied for him and they would have been fought for before. And even though he lost and he had every right to be mad, even not at me, but just how everything played out, it was still touching to get a letter from him, thanking me for everything I did. And so I hear you and feel for you. And those losses sometimes stem or potential in your mind, victims.
No, for sure, for sure. But you got a good result for your client, which is awesome. Congratulations on that. Moving on to a question about running a law firm. What would you say is the most important lesson that you have learned as a person in that role within the organization? Maybe something you didn't expect going into it. I know you've had worked for quite a while. You've had that position in different organizations. So along the way, what have you realized that you maybe didn't know before you started having those kinds of responsibilities?
That's a great question. I'm a people pleaser. That's one thing I'm discovered about myself. And so I need to say no. It's not like I take every case because I love the challenge and arrogant about it. And I don't like saying no to people. And so one lesson I've learned over time is to price accordingly. And you can only do that through experience. But pricing yourself and getting the clients that were truly worth their time and effort can be done that way. It probably comes to management. On the firm marketing, there's a balance between, marketing your successes, marketing your trial victories, and making sure you get the best bang for your buck. But you also can't brag. You can't just ingratiate yourself. And you have to be measured, sincere, authentic. And I think managing your firm that way to where you can be a relatable, related person, clients will gravitate to that because anybody could show up in a conference room when they do a consultation and brag about themselves and talk about bulldoggers they are, all the cliches that we hear some better say. But being genuine, authentic, and pricing yourself according based on your experience and your expertise, that'll help you manage your work-life balance, make your time profitable, and also get your name out there in a way that people, not only your competitors, but prosecutors and judges, at least via your social media, can kind of respect when you put you out there. Hopefully, it's hopefully kind of laid back to pleasing, make sure everybody sees your affect your firm and success, but also do it in a way where you are gracious at, in the way you advertise yourself.
Rock on. What I heard is a lesson that I learned too, which is instead of saying no, just charge a lot of money.
Things. Yeah. That there are, like child support is a price, emotionally and mentally, and there's also a price for that.
If you could sit down with your younger self or a new lawyer just starting out in criminal defense, what one piece of practical advice would you give them to make the journey smoother?
That's a great question. Like, look, on some level, we all want to be number on every big case. There's so much. I love criminal defense because we can unite together because we have a common side that we always go against. On a minimum, we want them to do their job the right way, the ethical way, the honorable way. Make friends along the way, regardless of competitors, regardless of, professional disagreements or different styles. You can learn things from different styles in different ways in knowing when you need to bring help in on a case that's challenging, especially like considering, a woman attorney sitting next to you. Like, I think men can do a better job of realizing that there are times where a woman attorney may be more effective in certain situations, whether it be crossing if it's a witness, a certain type of defendant that can have somebody next to them and not just another man can stand by them and just kind of unspoken credibility with the type of attorney you have next to you. But make friends with court coordinators and bailiffs and court reporters. They are an invaluable resource for you to help you on the day-to-days, to help you navigate that court. And knowing how the cogs of the machine work will make you give better advice to your clients and getting them ready for what to expect when you go into custody, what you expect if you go down and you're pulling chain that go to prison. And that's obviously the advice we never have to give our clients, but it's just going to be a reality. And it's like, well, if you're not a trial lawyer, you have something, you don't have licenses, you're not trying hard challenging cases. I mean, that you don't have to do that to be a trial lawyer, but you have to get ready. And just knowing the day-to-days, knowing the court, and knowing people around you that will come help you out, but also you go out and get experience from watching other attorneys. Don't be afraid to go to that big dog in your county, your jurisdiction, and say, I would love to sit with you in a trial. I don't care if I'm being paid or not. I want to help out. You just get experience. There's not a right way to do it. Everybody has their own style that you can plagiarize probably little bits and pieces, but be authentic with yourself. But get out there, you be friendly, and know the people around you. That way, they have legal advice. Even if it's stuff that you don't do, they can reach out to you, and then you can return the favor to a civil lawyer or a baby lawyer that, hey, this person from the courthouse came to me because they saw how I do things at the courthouse, and then I can help them. It's a nice, unspoken way of showing respect, and that pays off over time. But be genuinely just gather as much information you can from many people. They'll take you deeper.
I really liked what you just said about going to the big dog in the jurisdiction, offering your services, even if it's for free, just to learn from them. And I don't think young attorneys appreciate how appealing that offer is. Right. Like, free labor is great, right? And if it's free, competent, qualified labor, amazing. And so people I think overestimate how much of a favor the big dog is doing you when they take you up on that offer. And for them, it's really the other way around. They're just so grateful to have the offer.
Right. No, 100%. Yeah. And jury selection, anything. Watch, go assist, just take notes. Whatever. I'll have a baby lawyer, and actually a college student who does research on juries, and that's her passion. Just followed me through a really challenging case, or my client had her child died from fentanyl. When I was drug addict at the time, she'd done so much litigation to her life room at a jury trial, and they came, watched, provided notes. They saw a couple inaccuracies that I missed altogether, and they saw it differently. Look at non-lawyer help in trial, because that should be very aggravating. The thing in trial, especially the less we think like an attorney as it relates to the factual presentation of the case. Obviously, the lawyer, objections and strategy, obviously you have to keep the lawyer hat on. But sometimes just speaking to jurors, a non-lawyer, and having somebody there to watch, you'll provide some insight to where you see something slightly different that you're related to. Well, they help you cover humor. It's something that I really appreciate a lot.
Yeah, we can all benefit from some normal person whisperer. By the time we get done with law school, we're not normal people anymore. What part of Texas are you in? What part of Texas are you willing to cover?
So where I'm at right now is in the Cuny, Texas, which is a northern suburb of Dallas. So Dallas and Fort Worth, the Metroplex, we're sort of part of the Metroplex, but we're one county north, which covers a lot of the suburbs of the north part of the Metroplex. By practice, and we're one county short of the Red River, so it's Grayson, Collin, and Dallas. Okay, and so I'm in Dallas County, I'm in Denton County, which is one county west of us, Collin, Grayson, and all of this. So basically North Texas, from north of Fort Worth all the way to Texarkana, down to Tyler, and so that northwest border of Texas went down us. I'm also very active in the Texas School Defense Lawyer Association, our state's TCDLA organization. I'm on the board. And so if you need anybody anywhere in the state, call me and I'll look you over the.
I appreciate that so much, Ryan.
I remind me where you're at.
I'm in Tucson, Arizona, and it's Pima County. It's 2 hours, give or take, from Phoenix. And so Pima County is more southern Arizona. We do abut the border, but we're still about an hour and a half from the Mexican border. I do criminal work as well. I do federal and state. I do everything from misdemeanor DUI all the way to first-degree murders.
Yes, sir. Yeah, it's very nice to be here. Thanks for this opportunity. I really appreciate it.
My absolute privilege and pleasure, Ryan.